I never imagined this would happen. I never imagined that the man I had admired from afar for years would become the object of my deepest desires. Ethan Mitchell, my boss, was not only an incredible leader but also the most captivating man I had ever met. His presence in the office filled the air with a kind of energy that was impossible to ignore. But it was more than just his looks or charisma. It was the way he carried himself, the kindness in his eyes, and the subtle way he made everyone feel valued. It was a late Thursday afternoon when everything changed. The office was emptying out as the weekend approached, and I found myself finishing up a project in Ethan's office. The air was thick with anticipation. I could feel it in my bones, a tingling awareness that something significant was about to happen. I had spent countless nights thinking about Ethan, wondering what it would be like to kiss him, to feel his hands on me, to explore the connection that seemed to grow stronger every day. As I sat at his desk, immersed in my work, I noticed him walk in, his tall frame casting a shadow across the room. "Hey, Lucas," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "Got a minute?" "Of course, Ethan," I replied, my heart racing as he took a seat across from me. Our eyes met, and I felt that familiar spark. "What's up?" He leaned back, crossing his arms over his chest, a small smile playing on his lip. "I wanted to talk about the project you've been working on. You've done a fantastic job." "Thanks," I said, trying to sound casual despite the butterflies dancing in my stomach. "I appreciate that." Ethan's gaze softened, and for a moment, the air felt electric between us. "You know, I've been thinking we've been working together for a while now, and I'd like to get to know you better, outside of work." My heart skipped a beat. "Really? I'd like that." "Good," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "How about dinner tomorrow night? Just the two of us?" "Yes. I'd love that," I replied, trying to contain my excitement. As the day faded into evening, I couldn't focus on anything but our upcoming dinner. I spent hours imagining the possibilities, the tension that had been building between us finally releasing. I wanted to explore it, to dive into the connection we shared. The next evening, I found myself nervously adjusting my clothes in front of the mirror. I wore a fitted shirt that highlighted my physique and jeans that I hoped would make a good impression. As I arrived at the restaurant, my heart raced with anticipation. When Ethan walked in, my breath caught in my throat. He looked incredibly handsome in a crisp white shirt and dark jeans, his hair slightly tousled, and his confident stride made my heart race. He spotted me and smiled, that charming smile that made my knees weak. "Hey, Lucas," he said as he approached. "You look great." "Thanks, Ethan. You look amazing too," I replied, feeling a blush creep onto my cheeks. As we sat down, the conversation flowed effortlessly. We shared stories, laughed at each other's jokes, and slowly peeled away the layers that had kept us at a professional distance. I learned about his passion for hiking, his love for classic rock music, and the adventures he had taken before becoming my boss. But beneath the light-hearted conversation, there was an undeniable tension. Every time our knees brushed under the table, it sent shivers down my spine. Each time our eyes locked, I felt an electric connection, a yearning that was impossible to ignore. After dinner, Ethan suggested we go for a walk. The night air was cool, and the streets were bathed in the warm glow of streetlights. As we strolled, our conversation turned more personal, delving into our dreams and fears. Ethan revealed that he had always felt different, struggling with his identity for years before finally embracing who he was. His honesty touched me deeply. "I feel like I can be myself around you," Ethan confessed, stopping to face me. "There's something about you that makes me feel safe." "I feel the same way," I admitted, feeling the heat rising in my cheek. "I've always admired you, Ethan. You're not just my boss, you're someone I look up to." He stepped closer, his gaze penetrating as he searched my eyes. "You're more than just an employee to me, Lucas. I've wanted to take this step for a while now." My heart raced as he closed the distance between us. His hand gently cupped my face, and in that moment everything shifted. I leaned in, and our lips met in a soft, tentative kiss. It was a gentle exploration, a tasting of the promise that had been building between us for so long. Ethan's lips were warm and inviting, and I melted into him, feeling the heat radiate from his body. The kiss deepened as we lost ourselves in each other, the world around us fading away. I felt his hands move to my waist, pulling me closer, our bodies fitting together perfectly. When we finally pulled apart, both breathless, Ethan rested his forehead against mine. "Wow," he murmured, his eyes shining with intensity. "Yeah, wow," I echoed, still reeling from the kiss. I had fantasized about this moment for so long, but nothing could compare to the reality of being in Ethan's arms. "Let's go back to my place," he suggested, his voice low and inviting. My heart raced at the thought. "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I want to take my time with you to explore this," he replied, his eyes filled with determination. As we arrived at his apartment, the air was thick with anticipation. Ethan led me inside, his hand gently brushing against my back as he closed the door behind us. The atmosphere was charged, and I could feel the electricity humming between us. Ethan turned to face me, his expression serious yet tender. "I want you to know that I care about you, Lucas. This isn't just about physical attraction for me." "I know," I said, my voice steady despite the fluttering in my stomach. "I feel the same way." With that, Ethan stepped closer, his hands finding their way to my waist again. This time, the kiss was filled with a sense of urgency, as if we were both trying to make up for lost time. Our lips moved together hungrily, a passionate dance of exploration and desire. As the kiss deepened, Ethan's hands slipped beneath my shirt, his warm fingers gliding over my skin. A gasp escaped my lips at the sensation, and I leaned into him, craving more of his touch. I could feel the heat radiating off him, a warmth that enveloped me, igniting a fire within. Ethan pulled back for a moment, his breathing heavy. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" he asked, his gaze searching mine. "I've never been more sure of anything," I replied, my heart pounding in my chest. "I want you." With that, Ethan captured my lips again, his kiss fierce and passionate, igniting a spark that coursed through my veins. He guided me to the couch, and we sank down together, our bodies fitting together perfectly. As we explored each other's bodies, I reveled in the sensation of Ethan's hands on my skin, the warmth of his breath against my neck. Every touch was electrifying, a promise of the connection we had longed for. The night unfolded in a beautiful blend of kisses, whispers, and shared laughter. We took our time, savoring every moment as we discovered the depths of our feelings for one another. The world outside faded away, leaving only the two of us in our cocoon of intimacy. Ethan kissed a trail down my neck, sending shivers of pleasure coursing through me. "You're incredible," he murmured, his lips brushing against my ear. "I've wanted this for so long." "Me too," I breathed, arching into his touch as his hands explored my body with a tenderness that made my heart swell. As the night wore on, we continued to lose ourselves in each other, sharing soft kisses and whispered secrets. I felt vulnerable yet safe, fully aware that I had stepped into a world I had only dreamed of. Eventually, as the hours slipped away, we found ourselves wrapped in each other's arms, our bodies entwined as we lay on the couch. The soft glow of the moon filtered through the window, casting a serene light over us. "Lucas," Ethan said softly, breaking the comfortable silence, "I want you to know that this means something to me. I don't want this to be a one-time thing." I smiled, feeling warmth spread through me. "I don't want it to be a one-time thing either. I want to explore this with you." Ethan's eyes sparkled with hope. "I'm glad to hear that. I know this might be complicated, but I think we can make it work." "I believe that too," I replied, my heart full of optimism. As we drifted off to sleep, wrapped in each other's arms, I knew that we were just beginning a journey that would change both our lives forever. Whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, bound by the connection we had fought so hard to embrace. That the connection between Ethan and I deepened. The next morning, the sunlight streamed through the window, waking me gently. I stirred, the warmth of Ethan's body beside me bringing a smile to my face. He looked peaceful, his dark hair tousled, his lips slightly parted as he slept. I took a moment to admire him, the way he seemed so content in this intimate setting. Memories of the night before flooded my mind, his kisses, the warmth of his body against mine, the way we had opened up to each other in a way I had never experienced before. Slowly, I reached out and brushed my fingers along his arm, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath my touch. Ethan stirred, his eyes fluttering open. When he met my gaze, a smile spread across his face. "Good morning," he murmured, his voice still heavy with sleep. "Good morning," I replied, feeling a warmth bloom in my chest. Ethan shifted closer, wrapping his arms around me. "Last night was incredible," he said softly. "It really was," I agreed, my heart racing as I thought about everything we had shared. "I still can't believe we finally crossed that line." He chuckled lightly, his breath tickling my ear. "Yeah, it felt like a long time coming, didn't it?" "Definitely," I said, my voice a little breathless. I leaned in, capturing his lips in a gentle kiss. It was soft and sweet, a promise of the feelings we were beginning to explore. As we pulled away, Ethan's expression grew serious. "Lucas, I know we're stepping into uncharted territory here, but I want you to know I'm all in." "Me too," I replied, my heart racing at the sincerity in his eyes. "I want to take this journey with you, wherever it leads us." After a leisurely breakfast together, we decided to take a walk through the park nearby. The sun was shining, and the fresh air felt invigorating as we strolled side by side. Our hands brushed against each other, the contact igniting sparks of electricity. "I've always loved this park," Ethan said, glancing around at the vibrant flowers and the families enjoying the sunny day. "It reminds me of simpler times." "Yeah, it's beautiful here," I replied, taking in the sights and sounds. "I can see why you like it." As we walked, we found a quiet bench tucked away under a blooming tree. We sat down, and Ethan turned to me, his expression thoughtful. "You know, I've been thinking about what this means for us. We work together, and it can get complicated." I nodded, understanding the implications. "I get that. But I believe we can handle it. We just need to be careful and communicate openly." "Exactly," he said, his eyes shining with admiration. "I trust you, Lucas. And I think we can create something really special together." Feeling bold, I reached out and took his hand, intertwining our fingers. "I want to explore everything with you. I want to see where this leads." Ethan squeezed my hand, his gaze intense. "Me too." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden hues around us, Ethan leaned in closer, his lips brushing against mine in a slow, tantalizing kiss. It felt as if the world around us disappeared, leaving just the two of us suspended in this moment. The kiss deepened, our lips moving together with a shared urgency, and I felt my heart race as his hand cupped my face. Suddenly, a loud laugh from a nearby group of children broke the spell, and we pulled away, both breathless and grinning like fools. "Guess we're not alone after all," I joked, my cheeks flushed. Ethan chuckled, the sound warm and inviting. "No, but I wouldn't mind a little more privacy." "Agreed," I replied, my heart racing at the thought. "Maybe we could find a more secluded spot?" Ethan raised an eyebrow, a playful glint in his eye. "Are you suggesting we sneak away somewhere?" "Maybe just for a little while," I teased, my pulse quickening as I contemplated the idea. With a shared smile, we stood up and walked deeper into the park, finding a secluded grove surrounded by tall trees. The area was serene, the sounds of the outside world muffled, and the atmosphere felt charged with possibility. "Here looks good," I said, glancing around to ensure we were alone. Ethan nodded, stepping closer. "Perfect." Before I knew it, he was leaning in again, capturing my lips in another intoxicating kiss. This one was deeper, filled with a sense of urgency as our bodies pressed together. I could feel his warmth radiating, igniting a fire within me. My hands found their way to his hair, fingers tangling in the soft strands as I leaned into him. His hands roamed my back, pulling me closer as our kisses grew more passionate. The world outside faded away once more, and all that existed was this moment, our connection, our desires, and the intoxicating chemistry that enveloped us. As we finally pulled apart, breathless, I could see the hunger in his eyes, mirrored by my own. "Wow," I whispered, trying to catch my breath. "Yeah, wow," he echoed, his voice low and filled with desire. "You're incredible, Lucas." "Right back at you," I replied, my heart racing. "I've never felt like this before." "Neither have I," Ethan confessed, his eyes serious. "I think we have something really special here, and I want to take the time to explore it." "Absolutely," I agreed, feeling my heart swell with happiness. "Let's not rush it, but let's also not hold back." We spent the rest of the afternoon enjoying each other's company, stealing kisses and playful touches whenever we could. The park transformed into our private sanctuary, a place where we could let our guards down and be ourselves. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with vibrant colors, Ethan turned to me, a more serious expression on his face. "Lucas, I know this is all new for us, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. I want to support you in every way." "I appreciate that, Ethan," I replied, my heart swelling with affection. "It means a lot to me to hear you say that." He smiled, his gaze softening. "I want you to feel safe with me. I want us to be partners, both in work and in life." I nodded, feeling the weight of his words. "I want that too. Together, I think we can navigate anything that comes our way." As we walked back to the car, I felt a sense of hope blossoming in my chest. I had never imagined that my relationship with Ethan would evolve in this way, but now it felt like the most natural thing in the world. We shared another passionate kiss before parting ways, a promise of what was to come. I couldn't wait to see where this journey would take us, knowing that we were embarking on a beautiful adventure together. In the weeks that followed, Ethan and I began to build our relationship outside the confines of the office. We went on hikes, shared dinners at cozy restaurants, and discovered hidden gems around the city. With each passing day, we learned more about each other, and our bond deepened in ways I had never expected. One night, as we cuddled on the couch in Ethan's apartment, watching a movie, I felt a wave of contentment wash over me. His warmth enveloped me, and I rested my head on his shoulder, feeling safe and cherished. "Lucas," he said softly, breaking the comfortable silence, "I've been thinking. I really want to introduce you to my friends." My heart raced at the thought. "Really? Are you sure?" "Absolutely," he replied, a warm smile spreading across his face. "You're important to me, and I want the people I care about to meet you." "I'd love that," I said, feeling a flutter of excitement in my chest. "When do you want to do it?" "How about this weekend? I'll have a few friends over for a casual get-together. It'll be fun." "Sounds perfect," I replied, my heart swelling at the thought of being part of his world. As the weekend approached, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. Meeting Ethan's friends felt like a significant step in our relationship, a chance to show the world what we had built together. On the day of the gathering, I dressed carefully, wanting to make a good impression. Ethan's reassuring smile calmed my nerves as I arrived at his apartment. The atmosphere was lively, filled with laughter and the aroma of delicious food. Ethan introduced me to his friends, and I felt welcomed immediately. They were warm and friendly, making me feel at ease. As the night unfolded, we shared stories, laughter, and drinks, and I couldn't help but admire how effortlessly Ethan navigated the room, engaging everyone with his charm. At one point, as we stood in the kitchen preparing snacks, Ethan leaned in closer, whispering in my ear, "You're doing amazing. I'm so glad you're here." I turned to him, my heart racing at his words. "Thanks for inviting me. I'm really enjoying this." He smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "I want you to feel like part of my life." As the evening wore on, the energy shifted slightly, and I could sense a deeper connection forming not just between Ethan. As the night wore on, the energy in the room shifted slightly, and I could sense a deeper connection forming between Ethan and me. His friends were animated, sharing stories and laughter, but all I could focus on was Ethan's presence beside me. After a while, I noticed the way he looked at me across the room, his gaze lingering with a warmth that made my heart race. There was a silent communication between us, an unspoken agreement that this was more than just a casual evening with friends. As the night progressed, Ethan led me away from the crowd, into a quieter corner of his apartment where the music was softer, and the chatter faded into the background. We found ourselves standing close together, our eyes locking in a way that made the rest of the world disappear. "Hey," he said softly, his voice low. "I'm really glad you're here tonight." "Me too," I replied, my heart racing as I took a step closer. The warmth radiating from his body was intoxicating, and I could feel the electricity crackling between us. Ethan reached out, brushing his fingers lightly against my arm, sending shivers down my spine. "I want you to know that you mean a lot to me," he said, his gaze serious yet filled with warmth. "I feel the same way," I whispered, feeling a rush of affection. "I never thought I'd connect with someone like this." His hand found its way to the back of my neck, his thumb gently stroking my skin as he leaned in closer. "I've been thinking about you a lot, Lucas." "Yeah," I breathed, my heart pounding as his lips hovered near mine. "Yeah," he murmured, his lips brushing against mine in a feather-light touch. "I can't help it." With that, he closed the distance between us, capturing my lips in a kiss that ignited a fire deep within me. It was soft at first, a gentle exploration of our feelings, but soon it deepened, fueled by the passion that had been building since the moment we met. And me, I felt his hands slip around my waist, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us. I could feel his heart racing against my chest, mirroring my own as our bodies melded together. The kiss grew more urgent, our lips moving in perfect harmony. I could taste the faint hint of whiskey on his breath, intoxicating and thrilling. With every kiss, I felt myself melting into him, surrendering to the emotions swirling between us. As the kiss deepened, Ethan's hands slid lower, finding the hem of my shirt. His fingers brushed against my skin, igniting sparks of pleasure. I gasped softly, feeling the heat pooling in my stomach as he tugged my shirt upward. "Is this okay?" he asked, his voice husky with desire, pulling back slightly to meet my gaze. "Yes," I breathed, my pulse racing. "More than okay." With that, he lifted my shirt, exposing my torso to the cool air. His hands traveled up my sides, sending waves of warmth coursing through me. I leaned into him, craving more of his touch. Ethan's hands slipped beneath my waistband, fingers brushing against the waistband of my pants, teasingly close to where I wanted him the most. I gasped again, feeling the heat pooling in my core. "Ethan!" He leaned in, kissing me deeply again, the urgency in his touch sending a thrill of anticipation racing through me. His fingers brushed against my skin, exploring the contours of my body with a mix of tenderness and hunger. "I've wanted this for so long," he murmured against my lips, his breath hot and heavy. "I want you too," I confessed, feeling vulnerable yet exhilarated. With a wicked smile, Ethan's fingers found their way inside my pants, his touch igniting flames of desire as he traced my skin. My breath hitched in my throat as he explored, each caress sending shock waves of pleasure coursing through me. "Ethan," I gasped, lost in the sensation. "Just relax," he whispered, his voice low and seductive. "Let me take care of you." I melted into his touch, surrendering completely as he expertly navigated my body. I could feel every nerve ending tingling as he pressed his lips against my neck, kissing and nibbling his way down to my collarbone. As he continued to tease, my hands found their way to his hair, gripping him tightly as pleasure coursed through me. "You feel amazing," I gasped, my voice barely a whisper. Ethan looked up at me, his eyes dark with desire, and it made my heart race. "You're incredible, Lucas," he murmured, kissing me again, his lips a perfect match for mine. Our bodies pressed together, lost in each other as the world outside faded away. I could feel the heat radiating between us, a magnetic pull that drew us closer. After what felt like an eternity of kisses and touches, Ethan pulled back slightly, his forehead resting against mine. "Are you sure you're okay with this?" he asked, his breath mingling with mine, laced with concern. "Yes," I replied, my voice steady. "I've never been more sure of anything." He smiled, that beautiful, genuine smile that made my heart flutter. "Then let's explore this together." With that, we found our way back to the couch, the soft lighting creating an intimate atmosphere around us. I was overwhelmed by the intensity of our connection, my heart racing at the thought of where this would lead. As we settled onto the couch, Ethan's hands resumed their exploration, tracing the contours of my body with gentle caresses. I leaned into him, feeling safe and cherished in his embrace. The kisses resumed, more heated now, filled with an urgency that spoke of the desires we both shared. I felt myself getting lost in the moment, the world outside forgotten as we explored each other's bodies with tender, fervent touches. "Lucas," Ethan murmured against my lips, his breath hot and intoxicating. "I can't get enough of you." "I feel the same," I replied, my voice thick with desire. His hands slid beneath my shirt again, fingers skimming over my skin, igniting sparks of pleasure with every caress. I leaned into him, craving more of his touch, more of his warmth. "Can I?" He hesitated, looking into my eyes as if seeking my permission. "Can I take this further?" "Yes," I breathed, feeling exhilarated at the thought. "I want you to." With that, he captured my lips again, his kiss passionate and insistent as his hands explored further. I felt his fingers slip beneath the waistband of my pants once more, teasingly brushing against my skin. A gasp escaped my lips as I melted against him, surrendering to the overwhelming sensations. In that moment, I knew that whatever lay ahead, we would face it together, two souls intertwined in a whirlwind of desire and emotion, ready to embrace the journey that awaited us.